Welcome back to Unit 5, Industrialization in the City. We are still learning about how industrialization, or the introduction of new technologies, factories, and urban living in America, helped to change the United States. In our last lesson, we talked about how the Northeast was becoming a very urban area, and how places like New York City became major hubs for factories and manufacturing. You guys answered this question as your exit ticket. It wanted you to use the map to select which statements best explains the location of the major cities and towns in the United States. And hopefully you guys answered B, because we talked about how New York was located on the ocean and by many waterways, such as the Erie Canal, and how that helped the city grow in a major way by providing trade opportunities and ease of travel. So that answer was B, port cities established colonies, and the Erie Canal made cities grow. So today we're going to actually take a look inside some of these factories to see what life looked like for the millions of Americans who worked in them. And this factory we're going to look at in particular, it's called the Westinghouse Works Factory, and it was around in 1904. So these videos were actually taken in 1904, and as we know, that's what we call a primary source. This is an actual view of a factory.
From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
As you can see here, there are many machines and people all working side by side. It looks very crowded in there. What they're actually doing is taking the coil, like copper and whatnot, and they're putting them on those these big drums here that they're wrapping them onto. And you can see that the women are all wearing like long sleeves, which could easily get wrapped up in some of these. It doesn't look the safest, and it definitely looks crowded, and like lots and lots of people are in there working. As you can imagine, it's probably pretty hot in there. And none of them have much space to do their work. Let's take a look at another video that shows the inside of the same factory back in 1904.
From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
As you can see here, this is where the women would clock in and out for work during the day. By clock in, I mean they would put a timestamp saying that they were there, and it showed what time they arrived at work. Can you see how many women are clocking in to this factory? There's so many of them. They are lining up over here in the corner to get in the door. There are thousands of women coming to work. Also, something about working for factories during the Industrial Revolution was that these people were checking in for work very early in the morning, and they wouldn't be going home until very late at night, because people back in this time period had to work very long hours to keep their jobs. Today, we have people who have fought to make sure that work hours cannot be as long as they used to be, but these people would work for sometimes more than 12 hours in a day. Let's take a look at another video. This video is just going to kind of show us just the inside.
From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
It's a big shot of the inside of an actual factory, one of their machine factories. As you can see, all these machines are out in the open. No one is wearing any protection. Oh, let me see this guy back here. He's just in a regular suit. Most of these guys are in hats and they're nice clothes, just standing out by the factories. As we can see here, there are blades going. There are many machines working, and everyone's just kind of walking around with no protection. And we can also see that it's very cramped in there. There are lots of people, lots of things moving, lots of moving parts. Not a lot of space. We'll go look at another video that kind of helps to prove my point. We'll watch this one for a minute longer. Just noticing just how many people are here. How cramped and crowded this factory is. You can see there's lots of different machines going, all kinds of things moving around in here. We skip a little forwards. You can see really just how crowded some parts of this factory are. There are things going up towards the ceiling. People climbing up top. He has no protection over here, but he is climbing pretty high up there. And last video. This video really...
From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
It's going to show us what the conditions were like in these factories. See, we've got an open flame here. They're working with fire. Lots of guys standing around in their long sleeve shirts. No one's wearing any eye protective gear, any of those things that we know that we need to be safe when we work with fire. And they're welding this ring for some kind of machine that they're going to put it on. So they're actually burning the metal so that they can manipulate it and move it into the shape that they need it to be. And here they are beating that metal by hand. And that is very hot, so sparks, you can see the sparks flying off of it. None of them are wearing any kind of specialized clothes or eye gear to protect themselves. Think about if you would like to work in a situation like this. And if you would like to work in a situation like this, do you think it might not be the safest? Because it'd be really easy to get seriously injured. And now they're moving that big ring back into the fire to start this process all over again. They've got to get it hot again so they can beat it into the shape that they need. And again, it's still very crowded here and it's still hot. Still lots of people working very long hours. So not only are they working near an open flame and using a sledgehammer right next to people, but they're probably very tired while they are doing it. So back to our lesson. We have finished today's lesson. After looking at those sources, I want you to make a claim and describe the working conditions during the Industrial Revolution. So what did it look like to be a worker during the Industrial Revolution? What did they have to deal with? What kind of working environment did they have? I want you to go tell me about it on your Google Classroom, and we will review the answer in our next lesson. Have a great day.